Tokyo Electric Power Company officials say they're tightening supervision at the damaged Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant. The decision follows a string of incidents over recent months related to the management of contaminated water. Tepco has designated 14 blocks within the plant. They cover the 4 damaged reactor buildings and the tanks where contaminated water is stored. The company has appointed a separate manager for each block. About 100 tons of highly radioactive water spilled from a tank in February after a valve supposed to remain shut was opened. 2 months later, pumps that should have been idle sent 200 tons of wastewater into the wrong building. Workers are battling a constant buildup of contaminated water in the basements of the plant. They can only spend limited time on site to minimize their exposure to radiation.
Workers at Japan's crippled nuclear power plant have partially restarted a system designed to remove radioactive substances from wastewater. The water treatment system at the Fukushima Daiichi plant was completely shut down this week due to mechanical problems. Workers have reactivated one of 3 lines of the advanced liquid processing system. The line was shut down in March after its performance dropped. Engineers believe parts of the filter were degraded by radiation and it was not removing the calcium from contaminated water properly. Calcium makes it more difficult to eliminate radioactive substances. Workers have replaced the damaged filter components with ones that are more radiation-proof. Over the past week, they also halted 2 other lines after finding too much calcium in the water. The plant operator Tokyo Electric Power Company plans to restart the remaining 2 lines next month after replacing parts. Hundreds of tons of groundwater is being contaminated each day after it flows into the damaged reactor buildings. Tepco plans to treat all the water stored in tanks by the end of March, but a system has yet to be put into full operation.
Japanese researchers are celebrating an achievement that could boost stocks of a dwindling fish species. They've made bluefin tuna lay their eggs in a tank on land for the first time in the world. Scientists had only ever seen this species spawn at facilities offshore and aquariums that breed them. A group in southwestern Japan saw the fish in their tank lay nearly 10,000 eggs during one night. They're working with government backing to develop technology for achieving a stable supply of bluefin fry. They figured out the right water temperature and daylight hours for getting the fish to spawn. Stocks of bluefin tuna are shrinking in the wild. Japanese officials hope to produce 100,000 a year by 2016.
And easier visa requirements for some Asian tourists are making more people choose Japan as a holiday destination. Tourism industry officials say the number of people visiting Japan hit a record high in April. The previous record was set in March. Officials at the Japan National Tourism Organization say more than 1.2 million people visited Japan in April. That's up over 33% from a year ago. They say a promotional campaign for April's cherry blossom viewing season also helped attract more tourists. The number of visitors from the Philippines jumped almost 130%. Those from mainland China rose more than 90%. The officials think the trend will continue in May. They'll step up efforts to get more people to visit Japan this summer.
State says Hiroshima and Nagasaki hold valuable lessons that could prevent the same mistakes from happening in the future. American University professor Peter Kuznick visited a museum in Japan that features paintings depicting the atrocities of the atomic bombings. Kuznick visited the Maruki Gallery in Saitama Prefecture near Tokyo. The gallery features a series of painted panels in which Iri Maruki and his wife Toshi recreated the devastation and chaos in Hiroshima. They depict the area just after the U.S. dropped the atomic bomb on the city in 1945. Kuznick co-produced the documentary film The Untold History of the United States with director Oliver Stone in 2012. The documentary questions the country's use of nuclear bombs against Japan. The professor takes students on an annual trip to the two cities. He wants them to learn about America's past as a perpetrator that inflicted suffering on other countries.
Young people around the world are forgetting about what happened in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. They're forgetting about the danger of nuclear war, which is why the panels like the Maruki panels are so important, because the threat of nuclear war is real.
Kuznick says he hopes Maruki's works will be exhibited.
To a town in northeastern Japan have an eye-catching new place to stay. A hotelier who survived the tsunami 3 years ago created it as a place for the things he loves: jazz, coffee, and his community. NHK World's Jun Yotsumoto has his story.
You can't miss it. The row of colorful bungalows in the town of Rikuzen Takata. It's a small hotel, aptly named Rainbow Sarai. It's relatively new, but it's already a favorite with volunteers who have been working in the area.
I love this place. We'll continue to use it whenever we come here.
Katsutoshi Tomiyama is the owner. He's a jazz lover and likes the music he listens to. The 72-year-old is full of boundless energy and ideas.
What do I want to do next? I'm the type of person who always has that question in mind.
Tomiyama spent his career working at a major hotel in Tokyo. But the natural beauty of the northeast coast lured him away from the city 11 years ago. He opened his first cafe in the town of Ofunato. He served coffee to the sound of jazz. But a fire in 2010 destroyed his business. He moved to Rikuzen Takata and started a new cafe. Then, 2 months later, the March 2011 disaster hit, and the tsunami washed it all away.
I just felt human beings are so powerless against natural threats. It couldn't be helped.
Tomiyama moved into an evacuation center. He had no idea what he would do next. But he soon found the answer. He did a TV news interview that aired nationwide. It prompted people across Japan to send him 6,000 records. A man in Tokyo brought him a phonograph. The benevolence inspired Tomiyama.
I thought I had something I should do. I felt it was like a mission I needed to accomplish.
Tomiyama took the phonograph to other evacuation centers to cheer up survivors. Then he felt the urge to help the volunteers taking part in the recovery effort. Many slept in cars and tents because of the lack of accommodations.
Tomiyama decided to build a bungalow village on the land where his cafe once stood. But it wasn't an easy project to manage, even for an experienced hotelier.
Tomiyama had to wait 2 months for building permits. Then, once construction began, he faced a shortage of workers and materials. But one by one, he built the simple, clean bungalows. And he opened his hotel on the 3rd anniversary of the disaster, March 11th this year. A few weeks later, some musician friends came to celebrate.
I feel like I'm 50 years younger. I want to create more occasions where people can get together. That dream is helping me start over.
Tomiyama's not finished yet. He plans to add a jazz cafe. He wants people to love the things he loves: music, coffee, and community. Jun Yatsumoto, NHK World, Rikuzen
The National
Takata.
Atomic Energy Agency says Iran has reduced its stockpile of higher-grade enriched uranium by more than 80% under an agreement with 6 world powers. An IAEA report shows a decrease in Iran's stockpile of 20% enriched uranium to 38 kilograms from 209 kilograms. Uranium enriched to 20% purity raises concern about the development of nuclear weapons. The report also says Iran has implemented all 7 measures which it promised to do by the end of this month in a deal with the IAEA. They include providing information on Iran's nuclear facilities. But remaining differences are blocking a final agreement between Iran and the 6 powers, including the number of centrifuges for enrichment activity and the construction of a heavy water reactor. A large unmanned reconnaissance aircraft of the U.S. military has arrived at a U.S. base in northeastern Japan. It is one of the 2 Global Hawk drones to be deployed at the base between June and October. The aircraft with a wingspan of about 40 meters landed at the U.S. Misawa Air Base on Saturday. The 2 drones are stationed in Guam to monitor military activities of China and North Korea. They will be temporarily transferred to Japan as the operations in Guam are susceptible to typhoons. Japanese Defense Ministry officials say that if weather permits, the 2nd drone will be deployed at the Misawa base next Wednesday. A U.S. Defense Department spokesperson commented on the deployment.
They'll be able to provide us with increased surveillance capabilities that can be used in a broad range of missions, from maritime domain awareness all the way to humanitarian assistance and disaster relief.
The 2 drones will be remotely controlled from a U.S. airbase in California. This is the first deployment of Global Hawks in Japan. Some residents are voicing concern about the
drill designed to test the U.S. Air Force's ability to withstand a hostile takeover was a failure. That's the conclusion from an internal review exclusively obtained by the Associated Press. It indicates that last summer, an Air Force security team at the 341st Missile Wing at Malmstrom Air Force Base in Great Falls, Montana, was required to respond to the simulated capture of a Minuteman III nuclear missile silo, but did not. The partially censored document said that armed security forces failed to take all lawful actions necessary to immediately regain control of nuclear weapons. As for the specific reason why they failed, the security response in the review was redacted. The prize for terrorists or others who might seek to seize control of a missile would be the nuclear warhead attached to it, since it contains plutonium and other bomb materials. A rogue launching of the missile is a far different matter, since it would require the decoding of encrypted war orders transmitted only by the
Space Agency has launched an H-2A rocket carrying an Earth observation satellite that can help survey areas hit by disasters. The satellite was put into orbit. The rocket lifted off from Tanegashima Space Center, southwestern Japan. The rocket released Daiichi 2 into orbit about 16 minutes after the launch. The satellite is a successor to Daiichi, which took photos of areas hit by the March 2011 disaster in northeastern Japan, helping efforts to rebuild the areas. The new satellite can detect objects as small as 3 meters on the Earth's surface, an improvement from the 10-meter capability of its predecessor. It is also equipped with a radar system that can take images at night and in bad weather.